ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Armchair Book and Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Surprise Steve Barber. And joining me, as always, is the awesome co-host, Delicious Dwaylen Davis.
Hey, everybody.
And we are going to now do a review of
Yep.
Crown Jewel because all I can say is Logan Paul. Wow.
Yeah, he was very impressive.
Yeah. And because I remember texting you, I was like, dude, and I put this on the podcast Twitter account. I was like, Logan Paul's legit.
Mm-hmm.
That did not think I'd ever say that, but I mean, he came ready. Um, and I even saw some people say if he would have walked out with the belt, they wouldn't have been mad about it. Now, I don't know I don't know if I'd go that far.
Yeah, I'm not going to go that far. No. The right
Yeah,
person won, but
yeah, but but yeah, we'll get into that match and plus the other, I believe it was 7 matches.
mm-hmm.
Um, some were good, some left a little bit to be desired.
Yeah,
Um,
there was a couple I was like, this could have been a lot better.
yeah. But I do want to talk about some other news real quick. And I saw this today, and you said you had saw it as well. NWA World Champion Nick Aldis apparently is no longer the world champion, and he has basically been suspended.
Well, actually, he's not. He wasn't the world champion. Trevor Murdoch is the current NWA world champion.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
That you know what? I knew
yeah.
that too.
He had lost it a while back, but yeah, he's been having problems with uh Billy Corgan for a while.
Okay.
They've been kind of butting heads about stuff because think like creatively, like Billy wants to go one direction and Nick thinks it's supposed to stay a certain way. Some of it, I think Nick thinks that the belt should always stay on him, and
Mm.
because in this current iteration of the NWA, he's held the belt the longest. He held it for like almost 3 years before he dropped it, and I get the feeling that they've moved away from him as like the centerpiece of the company, and I think he's not very pleased about it.
So it's kind of similar to a CM Punk situation.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of an ego thing, uh, especially with the way that he went about telling the news. He just, he's just giving out contract details and all that stuff, and it's like, dude, like he said when his contract was up, said that he haven't. I think he put it as he didn't have a good working relationship with Billy Corgan anymore and things like that. And it's like, dude, that is not the way. And so, I
Mm.
mean, he got suspended. The NWA is like, nah, you're not going to badmouth us and then turn around and still collect those checks. So they pulled him from everything. They pulled him from
Ooh.
the pay per view this coming weekend. They pulled him from TV tapings, all promotional stuff. He's been pulled.
And that comes back to even if you are not having a good work situation, because I've actually talked about mine a little bit,
Mhm.
I don't hate my company.
Right.
I'm not gonna badmouth my company. I don't hate my boss. I don't hate my boss's boss. I actually work with a lot of good people. It's just some work demands just have started to become a little too much for my old self.
Right.
So
Yeah.
um and I don't think it's actually calmed down now, thankfully. And it's not something that occurs all the time, but it is something that can come up. And so I've actually talked to my boss. I've been cordial about it. I mean, they've been very supportive of me, but I've never mentioned the name of my company on the podcast that I can remember.
Right. Nope. Not that I can. No, nope. Not that I
Yep.
remember.
And I know you've never mentioned the name of your company
Mm-mm. Nope.
either. So, because I knew that even when I was in the Air Force, when I was having some issues with some leadership, I just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't blast it all over Facebook or MySpace at the time, as
Yeah.
well. Um, people who knew me, I mean, they knew there was, especially people who are like right there, they knew there were some issues going on, but they also knew I was never going to bash the Air Force.
Right.
Um, so for Nick Aldis, I mean, he just made himself, um, as the way our friend Kyle put it about CM Punk, he's kind of making himself into a malcontent.
Yep. Yep. Which is going to be hard for him to get work elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. His contract's up at the end of December.
Yep.
He'll be a free agent after that, but it looks like he's going to sit out the rest of that contract because he's suspended indefinitely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he badmouthed the company publicly.
yeah, yep. That's what happens when you run your mouth, not
Yep.
thinking.
Now, I mean, granted, he's gonna be out for the next 2 months getting paid,
Yeah,
but still. Oh, but speaking of people moving around, um, Double J, Jeff
yeah,
Jarrett is now all elite.
yep,
So that means he has now worked in some capacity with, let's see, WWE, NWA, All Elite, and there was at least one other one.
yeah. GCW.
Yep.
Trying to think. There's another one, but I can't think of what it is.
But the man has hit, and he's been in some high profile stuff as well.
Yeah, yeah.
He was part of Ric Flair's supposed last match, uh,
Supposedly,
supposedly, and he
we'll
was also,
see.
yeah, he was also the special referee. In fact, you saw him.
Hmm.
You saw him in
Yep.
person doing
At
his little,
SummerSlam. Yep.
yeah, when he was a special referee for no reason.
Yeah. There was no reason for that, just simply because they were in Nashville.
Yeah. So, but either way, he's all elite now. So we'll have to see where this goes. And apparently, he smacked Darby Allin upside the head with a guitar. I didn't see it.
He did. Yep, he did.
Okay. Why are you going to smack? I like Darby Allin. I
Yeah, I
mean,
do too, but I don't know.
well, I mean, I wouldn't have done it, but then again, there's a lot of things I wouldn't do when it comes to wrestling. And that's why we armchair book. So,
Exactly.
um, but before we really get started, I want to go ahead and give our contact and listening info and make sure I don't forget anything like I did last week because I didn't remember until like almost in the show. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot something. Um,
Mhm.
if you would like to email the show, it's armchairbookingpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/armchairbookingpodcast. Instagram is also the same thing. Twitter, it's at Booking Armchair. On TikTok, it is at Armchair Booking. You can find us on YouTube as far as if you want to catch the video, which by the way, we need some more subscribers. We've hit 52, so it is rising.
Awesome.
It's rising
Yeah.
slowly. We're still trying to hit that 100. Yeah, but hopefully, because we've made some pretty good contacts with some other fellow podcasts,
Hmm.
which I'll mention as well, because we have some collaborations scheduled, and we're trying to set up some other ones, trying to set up some interviews. So hopefully we can grow that, because we've kind of plateaued, and now it's starting to creep up again, which
Yeah.
is good. As far as audio platforms go, you can find us on just about any audio platform that you can think of. If we're not there, let one of us know. Let both of us know. Just let us know, and we would do whatever we can to get ourselves added. If you'd like to reach directly out to Dwaylen on social media, it's on Twitter. It's at fat_daddy73, because he is the fat daddy along with Big Mama. They also have their
Hmm.
own social media, their YouTube and TikTok channel. Just look up Big and Fat.
Yep.
And if you want to go to our merch, better get this out of the way because that's what I forgot last week. Go to tpublic.com/user/armchair-booking-podcast, and you can find all sorts of merch, including this coffee mug here. Not this shirt that I have on, because this is like a just kind of a prototype logo I was trying out, but then it evolved. But look what I found.
Cool.
Yeah, it was missing for a little bit. Found out the other day we were doing some cleaning, and it somehow got shoved up underneath the cushion. But that means people sat on it, and it didn't move. Unfortunately, the store does not have these anymore, the tumblers.
Hmm.
They do have the regular coffee mugs. You can get the t-shirts, you can get the hoodies, you can get the face masks, you can get your phone cases, like so. Hmm? Those of you watching the audio, you just have to kind of imagine what it looks like. Just think about it though. It's a phone case. It actually has the logo you might be looking at right now on the audio platform, except for this particular phone case, the colors are reversed. I have white letters with a red ring. So kind of makes it pop a little bit, to be honest with you. Um, but if I also have another podcast called the Cubicle Chat, you can also find that on any audio platform. That one's not on video. I don't know if it ever will go to video, to be honest with you. But that one last week we talked about horror movies. This week in reference to Veterans Day, we're going to be talking about like military in movies.
Okay.
And part of that, we'll probably be doing a review of Top Gun Maverick because I watched that last night.
I saw on Facebook you said you finally got around to watching that.
Yep, and I have questions. I just a lot of questions about that movie, but it's a good movie. I'm not gonna say it was up to all the hype that was around it, but but I mean it is still really good. If you like the original Top Gun, you'll like this one. Just there you go. So, but anyway, so speaking of expectations, what were your expectations of Crown Jewel? Because we talked about it last Thursday, but
I try to keep them low because every time I get really excited about a WWE pay-per-view, they tend to let me down. So I try to keep my expectations low. I will say the show did exceed my expectations. We'll get into it, but there was at least one match that I was like, this could have been so much better. Just a couple of little things they could have done and made it so much better, but I'll explain that when we get to that match.
I'm gonna pull up the match list because I do remember the first match. I was a little surprised this one was the opening match and it was Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley.
I was too, but that's probably because Brock probably left right after the match.
Well, that's true.
But I enjoyed this match. I think it should have went longer than what it did because both guys can go longer than what they gave them. I like the fact that Brock was on the defensive 90% of the match. I like that they let Bobby Lashley dominate him. He didn't beat Bobby. He didn't win, so to speak. He escaped.
Yeah.
And I like that twist. I still think Bobby Lashley should have won, but at least I like the way that they did it. Plus, if you look at the replay, his shoulder was not down. His right shoulder was up.
So they've already have the built-in controversy, which would lead to a rematch.
And then Bobby snapped and put him in the hurt lock after the match, which I was fine with. And but all in all, I thought it was a good match. It was what I expected from these two. Like I said, I still feel that Bobby Lashley should have won, but I like the way that the match was structured.
One thing about the ending, besides the week, he fell on him, even though they're both collegiate wrestlers. I still would have booked a double count out, like them fighting like everywhere, not even caring. But that's just me.
I think they're just doing that now. They've got one apiece against each other, so now we got to get the rubber match. But I'm hoping they wait a little while for the rubber match, build up a little more anticipation for it, and then have it instead of just hopefully they don't hot shot it and have it at the Survivor Series in 3 weeks.
God, that is only 3 weeks away, isn't it?
Whew.
I don't forget. Oh, you think Bobby Lashley? You think he's turning heel?
It's possible. I mean, he was a great heel when he was heel. I thought it was some of his best work. So if he is, I'm all for it.
If he does go heel, I say put him back with MVP because Bobby Lashley as a heel should not talk.
Yeah, bring back the Hurt Business. Put all those guys back together.
Thank you. And now they have almost.
Yep.
Or I keep wanting to call him almost because that kind of actually describes him. But we'll get to that match as well. But yeah, I mean, I think that could be an unstoppable faction right there.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know what that was Vince McMahon who broke them up. So
yep.
Yeah, so put them back together, put some belts on them. There we go. But I haven't not really heard a lot of blowback from this match?
I hadn't either.
From
Everything I've seen on Twitter, um, everybody seemed to enjoy the match. There were a few people that had the same thought that I did, that the match needed to go a little longer. I feel like it was just really getting into second gear when the pinfall happened. So that's my only true complaint, is that the match was too short.
Yeah, 6 minutes long. That was it.
Yeah.
And I did see people making comments. Well, maybe one of them had to go to the bathroom. I mean, and I'm old enough, I can appreciate that.
Oh yeah, me too.
It's like, hey, look, I gotta go. It's gonna get bad in here in a second.
Yeah.
um, but I think I was calling for the double count out. Did you call Brock winning, or did you call Bobby? You called Bobby winning.
I called Bobby winning.
Okay, so we were both wrong. So, next match, it was Damage Control beating Miss Bliss and Asuka,
which we both called it, that they
Yeah.
were going to get the titles back. So to me, it made no sense to put the titles on Miss Bliss and Asuka, and then 5 days later have them drop them. It kind of devalues the titles.
Yep.
And because that was one of my, that's been a lot of people's biggest complaint, is that WWE, hot potatoes their championships, and then you got a 5-day reign for Asuka and Bliss, and then I don't see there being a rematch because Nikki Cross attacked Bliss, costing the match and the titles. So there goes Miss Bliss's feud with Nikki Cross, leaves Asuka with nothing to do, and Damage Control have the tag titles back.
I read something yesterday, and I actually made a comment on the Dad World Order podcast, which, by the way, you should check them out. They go live. I want to say it's Sunday, every Sunday, 9:00. But they were actually talking about that, and I actually let them comment because I had read it. The Saudis wanted to see a title change.
Makes sense. Got to appease the people that are cutting the check. So
Yep, and not just a little bit of a check.
Oh no, this is
this is that sweet Saudi money. Was it? What?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You cut out there for a second. I believe it was like $20 million.
I think so.
Something like that.
Something like that. But yeah, it was an obscene amount of money. So, but
yeah, they wanted to see a title change, and so, well, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, and not a bad match. I mean, I think
no, especially with the talent that was in the ring, not a bad match at all. But I just feel like it devalues the title some when you have such short title reigns.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like Vince Russo was the one calling it.
Yeah, it felt like an Attitude Era match.
Yeah, swerve.
Yeah, but Damage Control have the tag title, so I guess we'll move on from there.
And now there's also, the speculation Miss Bliss is going to be going back with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, because they showed the Bray Wyatt symbol, and she kind of freaked out for a minute.
Yep.
I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I liked it when they were together. I mean, I now, granted, I'm not a fan of the Fiend Bray Wyatt. I like,
initially I liked it, but I think it should have been used sparingly,
right?
Not a full-time gimmick.
Especially don't put it on the belt.
Yeah, that character did not need the belt. Twice they put the belt on.
Yeah, and it made the belt with the face. I'm like, why are you doing that? I mean, that's
yeah.
I'm not a fan of the personalized belts. I don't like the spinner. I don't like the smoking gun belt, or the smoking skull, whatever it is that Stone Cold had. I'm just, this definitely did not like the wooden belt that Daniel Bryan had. Well, it's hemp.
The eco-friendly championship.
Yes. They're like, well, it's a belt made out of hemp. I'm like, no, it's not. It's plywood.
Yeah.
You can go down to Lowe's and get that. And, and like get a wood burning set at the Sears catalog.
Yeah.
There you go. Get yourself a belt.
There you go.
But either way, I mean, I don't know where they're going to go from here. I mean, like you said, Nikki Cross. I mean, she's kind of getting involved. I like Psycho Nikki Cross better than Nikki
Yes.
Ash. And
Yeah.
actually, I didn't mind Nikki Ash
I
because
didn't mind it.
I knew the person behind that could still go.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't
Um,
mind it, but I knew that there was a very low ceiling for that gimmick.
right. And they pushed it beyond the ceiling as soon as they had her cash in, win the title.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's not working. And they're like, get it off of her quickly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
oh, but the next match, Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross in the cage match. First
I'll
of
be
all,
honest, I was bored.
yeah,
The match bored me.
it shouldn't. It's a cage match with two guys who are brutal normally.
Yeah.
And I will
One,
also say Karrion Kross's entrance music is,
oh yeah.
yeah, just
It's
absolutely on fire.
yeah.
Uh, but where else were you going to say?
I was just gonna say one, the match needed some color. I always feel like
Mm-hmm.
cage matches need some color. I'm not saying you got to bleed just, buckets or anything, but a little color would have added to the match. And I just don't feel like the match was brutal enough considering who's in the match and the stipulation. And then to top it off, Drew McIntyre wins, which to me just makes Karrion Kross look weak. They're kind of already sticking him in that hole that Bray Wyatt ended up in, where
Mm-hmm.
he talks a big game and his promos are great, but then when he gets to the match is nowhere near as good as we're expecting it to be, and then he loses.
And the whole point of the cage also was to keep Miss Scarlet
Yeah, to keep
from,
Scarlett out, and it didn't. She interfered through the whole match, which is another thing. There's nothing wrong with interference for a heel.
right.
But when you're relying on the manager, so to speak, to do all the heavy lifting, then it makes it makes the wrestler look weak. Like this is the second match in a row. She interfered in Cardiff. That's the only reason he beat Drew McIntyre is because she quote unquote maced him. And then she maced him again in the cage match. And then Drew McIntyre shakes it off. And it's like, no, you're not Haku. Haku could shake off.
I was going to say
Haku
that.
could shake off Mace. You're not Haku. He should have. I feel like he didn't sell the Mace thing nearly enough. And then to top it all off, she has the key, locks the door. He goes over the side. She takes forever to unlock the door. And then he beats Kross. So it's like, where do you go from here? You're, 50-50 booking. You're one apiece
Mm-hmm.
in this feud. You've had a strap match and a cage match. Where do you go?
And they started off with a strap match.
Yeah, they should have started off with a regular singles
With a
match
match. That's how you should do it.
and then move on to stipulations, not start out the feud with a stipulation match. Because then you paint yourself into a corner, and now it's like you keep having to do stipulations because you can't go back to an ordinary match. Because if there's supposed to be this much animosity to where the feud has required a strap match and a cage match, then you can't just say Friday night on SmackDown, we've got Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross in a one-on-one regular match. It's like you can't go backwards. You got to keep, what other stipulation do you add?
Because everybody, you say that they announce that match, and the whole crowd will go, so?
Yeah, it's like okay, but
I mean,
yeah, I was very bored with this match. I expected a whole lot better, and I just don't feel like they really delivered in this match.
it kind of makes me wonder about the color. If
No, I do know that Drew McIntyre uh, was fighting the flu. I do know that much.
okay,
They did say that he was sick, but he was determined to have that match.
so he can
So
get
he was,
so he can get Karrion Kross sick.
yeah,
I've always
yeah,
thought,
yeah. It's like I don't know. I mean, this is not the 80s where if you're sick or hurt or whatever, you just keep pushing on through. If you're sick, take the time off. I mean,
Um,
there was enough space on that card. They could have pulled that match for another time, and still they could have given some of that time to Lashley and Lesnar,
yep.
and then split up the time for amongst everybody else.
And for those of you scoring at home, in case you're wondering why the reference to Haku and Mace, true story, Haku actually did get sprayed with actual mace from a police officer because,
And
and he
did
shook
not
it
phase him at
off.
all. He shook it off like he got sprayed in the face with water. True story. There's been 20 different wrestlers have corroborated that story.
Yep. I wonder if that was the same time he broke the handcuffs.
Probably.
Yep.
And bit off a guy's nose at a bar.
Yeah. Rich grabbed some guy's teeth, just pulled them right out.
Mm-hmm.
He ripped Jesse Barr's eyeball out. Um, and it's not because Haku is a jerk. It's just
No. People would
somebody.
test him.
Yeah, I heard you're tough.
Yeah,
And
it's
next thing you
like,
know, he's got their teeth in his hand. He's like, "Here you go."
yeah. It's like, here you go.
Yeah, he just activated their dental plan,
Yep.
and and
Hope your insurance is paid up.
yep, and so of course they would have to call the cops to kind of break it up, and they maced him, and he just shook it off.
Yeah.
Uh, but anyway, um, but I still didn't like the use of the mace in this because Drew McIntyre walked out the door and she sprayed him. I'm like, that was the whole point,
Yeah, that was the whole point of the cage, is to keep her from interfering. So by allowing her to interfere, you've just wasted the cage match.
Now, one of the things I think they should have done as far as, okay, she locked it. Well, he just goes right
Mhm.
over.
Yeah.
He should have went to the other side and went over that way.
Yeah.
Maybe it was for the camera could have them both,
Uh-huh.
but
Yep.
because I was thinking, okay, this could be intriguing, but no, I mean, he beat him. I mean, it wasn't even close. She barely had the door open, for Karrion Kross
Hmm.
to kind of slide out, or either that, or she should have reached in and tried to pull him out. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the match itself was a lot more boring. In color, I don't know how the Saudis would react to that.
Yeah, that would be an issue. If it was in the States, I would say it definitely needs color, but I do understand that. I don't know how they would react to that.
Right. I mean, because you never know. I mean, they're very strict on a lot of other things. So,
Yeah.
if it's in the States and Canada, even over in the UK, yeah,
Yeah.
hey, cut yourself out. Well, don't get caught doing it.
Yeah, don't get
You
caught.
know,
Yeah.
do like Bret Hart. I mean, he was a master at, oh, no,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
bleeding.
And then
As
he
he
would he could always convince them that he did it the hard way.
then he found out later on, yeah, that was me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like he did during WrestleMania 8, he even fooled the referee. You know who the referee
Uh-huh.
was?
Roger Ruffin.
Roger Ruffin.
Yep.
um, which Roger Ruffin, he's been on the show before. A great guy, the owner of the Northern Wrestling Federation. That was actually a pretty fun interview that we did with him. He just celebrated his 20,
30,
30 or 39th year.
39th year in wrestling, yes.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. And they're about to have their anniversary show on the 26th of the.
7th. Is it 26th or 27th?
Let me look and see. It's a Saturday after Thanksgiving. So
I
Thanksgiving's
think
on the
26th.
24th. Yeah, so it has to
It's
be
26th.
26th.
Yeah.
Yep. And so hopefully we'll get an interview. I think in fact I need to hit up we may have Noah on this coming
Mm-hmm.
Thursday to talk about the anniversary show. May have somebody else along with Noah, which would be kind of cool.
Cool.
Oh, but anyway, yeah, back to the Crown Jewel, which is kind of funny. I think Crown Jewel, and I still think like the Crown Jewels in the Tower of London.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But which, by the way, if you ever go over there, they put you on this little kind of a treadmill type, like the moving sidewalk type thing, where you can actually see the jewels. That I've heard, yeah, those aren't the real ones. So there's replicas. Judgment Day and the OC in the 6-man tag match.
This was a mm, this was a step above a match on Monday Night Raw. This was
Thank
not
you. This is it.
nearly as
Thank you. I was thinking,
wasn't nearly as good as I thought it would be, especially with the talent in the ring. Even with Dominic Mysterio, which he's still green, but the five other people in the match could mask whatever deficiencies he has. But I mean, it just plodded along until like the last 5 or 6 minutes.
yeah,
Like that final hot tag that Luke Gallows had, that's when everything picked up. But before that, it was just again another one. It was just boring until the last little bit. And
yeah.
I don't know.
And like, I mean, you hit it right in the head. I mean, this felt like a TV match, either Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, and
And
not even a main event match.
exactly.
Just a middle of the card TV match.
Yeah, this is, hey, this tag team has a problem with this other tag team. By the way, this person who's a friend of the tag team has a problem with the person who's a friend of the other tag team.
Mm-hmm. So let's just
Yeah.
throw them all in there.
Yep.
Well,
And
because right now you can't really have a tag match with Anderson and Gallows versus Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio because Dominic's too green.
yeah.
Um, Finn Balor versus AJ Styles will be amazing, of
Hmm.
course, given the talent of those two men. But yeah, this just wasn't what I expected. But the Judgment Day won, which I agree with because they needed to win. They needed that win much more than AJ and the Good Brothers did.
And hey, Scarlett, pay attention to Ripley. She's not spraying people with mace.
No,
She's body
she's
slamming people.
she's body slamming people but the way she interferes is perfect. It's like, yeah, people, Scarlett, you need to pay attention to what Rhea's doing.
Yeah.
Did you catch that Michael Cole referenced the Bullet Club?
Yes, I
He
did.
even said Bullet Club.
I meant to text you when I heard that too.
He called Luke Gallows Doc twice, which is what he goes by when
Okay.
he's not in WWE. And he, by name, called mentioned New Japan Pro Wrestling. Well, he talked about the championships, the IWGP tag titles and heavyweight title and things like that.
Which means it's definitely a new era with Triple H running things.
Yes.
He's like, we
Yes.
can't sit there and ignore, the fact that there's other companies out there
Yeah.
because we look stupid whenever we have somebody come in. And I know this isn't the era of occupational gimmicks anymore,
Yeah.
but he's like, well, there's no other companies out there. And then somebody shows up like off the street and they're already better than some of our people who have been around a while.
Mm-hmm.
That makes zero
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So it is good that, and they used to have a relationship with IWGP, 20
Mm-hmm.
some odd years ago. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a loose relationship, but they were allowing like Hogan to go over there and
Yeah.
wrestle.
But
But
that was also when it was just that New Japan kept to itself. Now they're doing that expansion into the States and they're more of competition now than they ever were before.
right,
Before they were just an island unto themselves.
literally,
Now, literally, yeah, literally and figuratively. But now with their US expansion and just New Japan's overall product, they're competition. So it's good that they're getting acknowledged though.
and the one commentator during the kickoff show when he referred to Butch as Pete Dunne, and then he corrected himself.
Mm-hmm.
He corrected, and again, I mean, that's the second time in the past couple of
Yeah.
weeks they've done that. And I mean, that does make me wonder because he did correct himself. So
Yeah.
maybe maybe they're thinking, okay, this name Butch is just stupid.
Yeah.
It sounds like Vince McMahon was watching too much of the Little Rascals.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you don't even want to know some of the other names he's going to come up with next.
Oh yeah.
But maybe I have Froggy anyway.
Oh God.
Yeah, there's an old pop culture reference for people. Um, but yeah, like I said, I mean, it was just a step above a TV match, but not even the main event TV match. Oh, now the next match, Braun Strowman and Omos.
It was your standard big man match.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that. I mean, Omos looked really good
Mm-hmm.
in this match. I still think he should have won. I don't think Strowman needed the win as much as Omos did. Um, the power slam on Omos was impressive. I give
It
him that,
was.
but but it was what you would expect from those two guys. Of course, Braun Strowman can't keep his mouth shut on Twitter,
I was going to ask you if
and
you'd seen some of that.
yep, he is. I mean, he's gotten roasted by WWE wrestlers, AEW, Impact. The whole wrestling community came after him because, of course, he's making fun of the quote unquote, flippy guys. And it's like, okay, you're a big monster guy. You have a big man match. Some people like that. A lot of people like the flippy guys. I
Mm-hmm.
personally like the flippy guys because that type
Mm-hmm.
of athleticism is just amazing to
Yep.
watch. And it's like, again, this is not the mid 80s. This is not mid 80s WWF where you're either big or you go home. This is, you know, there's all different types of wrestling for people to enjoy, but he's always putting down his contemporaries, and it's like, shut up, just be quiet. If you can't do any better than this on social media, then somebody either needs to take it from you, or you just need to stop talking on social media. But it's just, the dude he's quickly burning every bridge that he has in wrestling.
And it's a shame too, because I mean, he could be one of the best big men out there.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, and
Rumor has it this little rant he went on either Saturday night or Sunday morning, whenever he posted it, has gotten him some heat backstage.
oh, I can see it because Mustafa Ali has been one of the main people. Have you
Mm-hmm.
seen some of the stuff? I mean, they've been saying to each other.
Yep, I've seen that. Will Ospreay had some stuff to say. Um, I mean, it's just, people took offense, and they should. It's like, just because you wrestle one style of wrestling doesn't mean you get to crap on everybody else. If you
And,
don't like the flippy stuff, then don't watch the flippy stuff. But let other people enjoy what they want to enjoy.
and I want to tell them, by the way, the reason why you don't like the flippy stuff is because you can't do the
You
flippy
can't
stuff.
do the flippy stuff. Yeah. Another
And,
reason why he doesn't like the flippy guys is because they get 4 and 5 star. They put on 4 and 5 star matches. Braun Strowman ain't putting on a 4 or 5 star match.
and almost is way too well. He's way too big because you can only do so. The bigger you get, the less
Yeah.
you're able to
Yep.
do, which is a
Yeah.
weird kind of a.
Yeah. I mean, 7'3", 416 pounds. There's only so
Yeah.
much he's going to be able to do.
Right. Now, granted, when he lands that big club and blow,
Yeah.
it's going to have some impact.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't expect somebody that big to do a lot. You don't expect to see them doing a drop kick. I mean, because, well, if he could probably lay in the middle of the ring, lay his toes up under one side and reach back and grab the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is that big.
Yeah.
Because if the ring is, of course, 20 by 20, I mean, okay, I may be pushing a little bit. He's 7'3".
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, he would have to have about a 14-foot long arms,
Yeah.
to do that. But I mean, if he's stretched, he might be able to. His tippy toes will touch. but if he's going to do like a regular vertical suplex on somebody,
Mm-hmm.
he would have to do it corner to corner just to make sure he had room.
Yep.
And if he's going to try to do any kind of move, if he were able to jump, which I'm pretty sure he's going to have a little bit of ups on him because I mean the man played college basketball at South Florida,
Right.
so I mean he's going to have some jumping ability, and you're not going to have it just does not leave a lot of room
Hmm.
for doing a lot of moves, and Strowman, yeah, getting him in that power slam, I mean it was impressive. Um, and I will have to agree once again with the Dad World Order podcast because they actually talked about it. He should have not beat him with just one power slam
No,
because
it should have taken, I
yeah,
mean, it should have taken 3 or 4 to put him down.
right,
One power slam should not have been able to put him down.
right, and I mean, and now, granted, I'm not big on doing the finishing moves over and over and over again, but they've been trying to build this guy up.
Yeah.
He just got beat by one power, and that was really the only offensive. I mean, this was almost just like Braun or this was just
Brock
like
and Bobby.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was one guy dominated, last guy hit one move at the very end, boom, done. Like you said, he
Yep.
escaped.
Yep.
And this was, I don't, maybe a little more than a Raw match,
Hmm.
but not much more. And
No.
I didn't like the ending. Almost should have gone over. MVP was
Hmm.
not there, and I actually did not know. I didn't even think about it until that was actually something else they mentioned. I didn't know this about MVP. He was, he,
Yeah. I did. I did. I did know that, and I didn't think about it.
but yeah, he when he was in prison, and which a lot of people don't know, yeah, he actually his story is actually a redemption story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really is. I mean, he spent 9.5 years in prison for armed robbery,
Hmm.
and he converted to Islam while he was in prison.
Yep.
Now he said, he's actually called himself an atheist, and an infidel.
Yep. Yeah.
Guess what's illegal over in Saudi is
Uh-huh.
convert,
Yep.
leaving Islam.
Yep.
Um, and I cannot think of the actual definition. The definition that applies to any religion when you convert from
Hmm.
one to the other, but apostasy,
Oh, okay.
apostasy, yeah. But for them, if you leave Islam, it is punishable by death. And it doesn't matter if he's not even a citizen over there. The way they look
Hmm.
at it is you left, so he's
Yeah.
like, and he's probably like, yeah, I ain't going over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
He's smart enough to know.
yeah, he's like, no, I'm not going over there. Of course, actually, with his record, he may not be able to go anyway. You know,
Right.
because unfortunately, I mean, a lot of countries are like, you got that? What kind of record?
Hmm. It's like, no, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, you were jaywalking. I don't know. I mean, 'cause we don't like. Yeah, we got strict laws against it over here. but um, but I like MVP. I really like him as a manager. I like
Hmm.
him. Yeah, I've said it before. I like him better as a manager than I do as a wrestler.
Yeah.
Because as a manager, I mean, as a wrestler, I mean, he was good,
Hmm.
but he was never like way at the top. A manager, though, he is up there
Yeah.
because I mean, he
Yeah.
gets guys over. He's a good mouthpiece, so have him do that. But he wasn't
Yep.
there for this one,
Right. Right.
and I mean, honestly, I don't know if it made a difference because I mean, even uh, because I mean, we know it's they already had it determined that Braun was going to go over, and I don't know why.
Hmm.
And now, if the match would have happened now after Braun's been, yapping his flap on Twitter,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I don't think the outcome will be the same. But and speaking of people not coming over to Saudi for the matches, the Usos, part of the bloodline,
Yep.
and Sami Zayn, of course, did not go,
But the
and
crowd sure was chanting for him.
they wanted him,
Yep.
and
They wanted him.
I was actually kind of I was liking that because it's
Yeah.
not the people, it's the
The
government.
government. Yep.
And for them to chant, "We want Sammy, we want Sammy," and then Jay turning around, "Well, you ain't getting him," or whatever it was that he said. That was actually pretty funny, I thought.
Yeah, yeah, you ain't getting him. Yeah,
So
yeah.
um, no, I mean this match. I mean it ended, and of course, I mean the way we figured it would. I mean, Usos retained. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, I did like the top rope 3D. It looks like Jimmy might have hurt his shoulder on the when he
yeah.
came when he landed, but it was it was a good match. I thought it was a really good match. Usos won, which they should have. It's not time to take the belts off of them yet.
Um, hold on,
Excuse me.
checking my connection. We got a little bit of lag. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I will keep going. Just make sure I'm not eating into my own bandwidth. And okay, these two are good. So okay. Um,
Yeah, I had to check mine too.
but I mean the match was hard hitting, like we thought it would be. You know,
Yeah.
and were talking about Jay hurting his arm. Was that a work or was that something that actually happened?
I don't know because that's the first that I've seen. That's the first that I've heard of it. I haven't seen it anywhere on social media that he is legitimately hurt. So I'm hoping that that's a work because that would suck if he, in the middle of this historic championship reign that he's hurt. Just like I'm hoping that Jimmy's shoulder's okay because, they are literally on the run of a lifetime. And I would
Mm-hmm.
hate for one or both of them to get injured and have to drop the titles because of injury. So, but I don't know. That's the first that I heard of it. I noticed the hand was wrapped, but
Yeah.
the sleeve wasn't a big thing because he wears that off and on sometimes anyway. But I noticed that the hand was taped up, but that's the first I'd heard of it was when Michael Cole said it
And they're mentioning apparently on SmackDown it's them and New Day, and
for the tag titles.
it's
Yep.
like this is like the day, I guess. What they're saying is that whatever
Of the new.
day that if they
Yeah.
beat New Day, they'll pass them up, the very next day.
Yeah. They'll
And
pass them. Yep.
New Day look like they're trying to turn heel. Maybe it's just to stop them from passing them up.
Could be. Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to that. You know,
Yeah.
but oh, just a real quick break from wrestling. Just got a notification. UNC Wilmington at North Carolina right now. College basketball season is upon us, my friend.
All right.
North Carolina's they starting that run tonight. In case anybody's wondering, Joel and I are both big North Carolina fans. With
Yeah.
me, I was born in North Carolina, lived there for almost 15 years. But Dwaylen was born and then raised in Kentucky, so
Yep.
he's breaking all sorts of Commonwealth laws by being a North Carolina fan. Um, but that's cool. It means he's on my team. So, but uh the penultimate match, or what do you want to call it, the next to last. I've been like
Yeah.
using that word penultimate. Trying to feel
Hmm.
like Matt Mims, trying to increase my
Right.
vocabulary.
Yep.
Um, but Bianca and Bayley, the last woman standing match. Um,
Um, what'd you think of it?
it started out slow to
Hmm.
me, and then when they started going outside the ring
Yeah.
and using the weapons and then using the golf cart, which I was like, oh, okay, that's different. Um,
Hmm.
they better be glad that in the past couple of years that the Saudi government's allowing women to drive again.
Yeah.
And sadly, I mean, that's one of the things I thought of was, wait a minute,
Hmm.
and it shouldn't matter. but she got that
Yeah.
golf cart and just, and I wanted to see her just,
Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. Um, I thought it was a good match for the stipulation. I think it went a little long,
yeah.
and Bayley should have won. Nothing against Bianca Belair. She's been a fantastic champion. Bayley should have won because now Bayley's lost back-to-back title matches against
Mm-hmm.
Bianca Belair.
Try to justify giving
So
her another one.
yeah, where do they go from here? Her partners have the women's tag titles, but Bayley has no championship.
Her partner should have came out and helped her with this one.
That's what I figured was going to
Mm-hmm.
happen, but they didn't.
And
But
instead, she got trapped up under a ladder.
yeah, which I didn't really like
That's
that spot because she could have gotten out.
yeah.
You
Just
know,
slide one
just
way or the other.
exactly. Just slide out of it. Just slide to the side. That's all you had to do.
Yeah.
But it was a good match for before the stipulation. Both women worked hard. I just think the wrong person won in this case.
Yep. And whew, yeah, they are. They're going to be hard to justify giving Bayley another title shot because she's lost two. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I've already beat you twice.
Right.
Now if she was a face,
Yeah.
you could actually run the thing. Well, she get, if she does this, she can get one more shot.
Right. But as a heel,
as a heel,
like you've already had two shots in a row and you couldn't get it done. So why are we giving you another one?
Yep. Oh, but you know who would know the answer to that?
Ted.
Ted would know.
Yep.
Yep. Ted would absolutely know. On my way home today, actually, as I was waiting in the Chick-fil-A line in Eastgate because my son wanted Chick-fil-A. So I was like, you want Chick-fil-A? Because my wife's been sick, so she hasn't been able to cook really. And
Mm-hmm.
and so I decided, all right, fine, I'll stop by. Should have known better because that particular Chick-fil-A is always busy. And I was in the drive,
Mm-hmm.
even ordering ahead on the app, I was still in the drive-through line for over an hour. So I listened to Ted's latest podcast. And once
Right.
again, I mean, now he did give the update on his Antarctica meet and greet. There he has not just the number one wrestling podcast on there, he has the number one podcast, period.
Exactly.
So I mean, and right now they're trying to get all the transportation worked out. His helicopter, his assistant actually has the helicopter out right now, and he's flying back in California, which coming back from California is going to take a while. It's in a helicopter.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he decided helicopter, but it'll save on fuel. Save on fuel prices. So, but there you go. But if people go listen to the Hill Truth with Ted. He's everybody's favorite wrestling podcaster right now, I'd say.
Yeah.
And part of that is because Ted does his best to kind of get everybody connected, so we're all one big family. That was actually his goal. He told us, when he first contacted us, and he's trying to build the internet or the podcast wrestling community or the wrestling podcast community, however you want to look at it. But along with Ted, we also have Wrestling with the Truth. That's going to be the podcast that Dwayne and I we're supposed to be on.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to be their guests at the end of this month. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Another great podcast. They're actually Wrestling with the Truth. You have the Hill Truth, you have Wrestling with the Truth. And then I also talked about the Dad World Order, their podcast, which is a new one. In fact, I met the guys before I actually watched their podcast because they're on YouTube. And then I went to go add them on Twitter. Turns out we've been following each other on Twitter for a little bit anyway. It's like, okay, so that it was always cool. You get to meet some of the people that you only know them from the internet, and then all of a sudden you meet them in real life. I mean, it's always a cool thing. But yeah, definitely check them out. They run their stuff through StreamYard, kind of like TNC Sports Talk does.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually been hurt again, so he's kind of taking a break for a little bit. Trying to, you're talking about Justin from TNC Sports Talk. So he's trying to get a lot of things sorted out, for that before he can really get back into
Right.
the scheme of things. So, but yeah, definitely go check out all those podcasts. Like I said, whenever I post this, I'm going to give them another shout out on Twitter, like I did before. And there's another Wrestling World is another one that I've been listening to lately, and it's just one guy, Austin Boyer, and he does a pretty decent job at it. I mean, and like I said, he's by himself, and so I mean, he doesn't skip a beat. He's just going and just doing his thing and doing a pretty good job. He's big Bray Wyatt fan,
Okay.
So let me make sure I got the actual name correct, because every once in a while I'll screw something up. Wrestling World, yeah, that's it, just Wrestling World. So and Northern Wrestling Federation, they also have their own podcast now.
Yeah.
So that was with Wildcat Chris Harris, who's been on the show, and Kirk Shepard, who has not been on the show, but I wouldn't mind having him on the show sometime.
Right.
But the last match, and this was the one that the whole world was watching, because this was the one because of one of the participants.
Yep.
It was pretty intriguing, and you said it best before we started recording. You got to repeat that one.
Yes. How is Logan Paul better at wrestling than Dominic Mysterio? I don't understand. I know everybody progresses at a different pace, but Dominic has been around this business his entire life and has been trained by the greatest luchador ever in Rey Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
Logan Paul's had 3 matches and looks better in the ring and looks more comfortable in the ring.
Yeah.
Than Dominic Mysterio does.
When I texted and said he's legit, and I put it on Twitter, I said he's legit, and I meant that. I mean, he was impressive in his first match at WrestleMania when he was teaming with The Miz.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then The Miz turned on him and gave him the Skull Crusher finale, which, by the way, everybody talks about some of the greatest finishing moves. I think that is one of the best finishing moves. It's because you can do it on anybody, you can do it at any point of the match.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I digress. But yeah, he went against The Miz and looked even better.
Yep.
And the reason why he was in this match, even though it was only his 3rd match ever, it wasn't like he said, I want to have this match. It was the Saudis said, we want him in this match.
Yep. So he used his podcast to start the feud with Roman. And it just went from there. But yeah, he was extremely impressive. I have nothing bad to say about his in-ring work. It does suck that he ended up getting injured in this match.
And not just a little injured either.
No, tore his ACL, MCL, and there was something else too.
His meniscus.
Meniscus, that's it.
Basically, he destroyed his knee. Basically,
yeah,
is what
he
it comes
just
down
destroyed
to.
his knee. Yeah, and he's looking at, usually when people in wrestling do that, that's about a year that you're gone. Between surgery, recovery time, training to get back, and all that. And that's on guys who have been wrestling night in and night out. This is not someone who's 3 matches in. His recovery time, I'm sure, is going to be longer than your average wrestler would.
And one question I do have coming out of the match were, who were the 2 guys at ringside?
They were on his podcast. There's some of his guys that are on his podcast. Yeah.
Okay.
They're friends of his. Yeah.
I was wondering about that because I felt bad for one of them. Like, hey, that's his cell phone.
Yeah. That's his phone.
That's his. Y'all going to give him back his phone? And then he got beat up by the Usos, and that felt really bad for him. Like, not only does he not have his phone, but now he gets beat up.
Yeah. But Roman Reigns, his selling in this match was spectacular. I mean, Logan Paul absolutely pulled his weight, but Roman also made him look like $1 million. The facial expressions, the trash talk that Roman would do at the end of the match, after he had won, he's on the ramp and he's like, I don't ever want to see him again. Tell him to go back to YouTube. He doesn't belong here. Just all of that. It's like, especially the look on Roman's face after he hit the spear and pinned him, and he backs away and he has this look like, what was I just in? I was in a bigger fight than I thought I was going to be. The match was excellent. I thought it
Yeah.
was an excellent match. And I've never been one to be high on celebrity, you know, quote unquote celebrities being in wrestling matches, but I will give him his due. He looked great in this match. The
Hmm.
match itself was excellent. Roman won, which is what needed to happen. But I have no problem with the match. Best match on the card, my opinion.
Um, you remember what the main event was at WrestleMania 11
Hmm.
with Bam Bam and one of, well, arguably the greatest NFL player ever, Lawrence Taylor, LT.
Hmm.
That match wasn't nearly as good as this.
No,
And
no.
Lawrence Taylor, I mean, is a very legitimate athlete.
Yep.
And Lawrence Taylor played at North Carolina.
Hmm.
Anyway, but Logan Paul, I mean, and then you're right. I mean, it's a shame that he hurt himself because now he's going to
Hmm.
be out for at least a year.
Yep.
We know that. Um, he could have, I don't know. I think if he would have come back wrestling like full time where he'd be on TV every
Hmm.
single week, I think honestly that would probably hurt his brand some because now it's like, okay, the newness is
Yeah.
worn off.
Yeah. From what I understand, he messed his knee up when he did the buckshot lariat.
Wow, that was fairly early on.
Yeah.
And that buckshot lariat was
Yeah.
pretty
It,
impressive.
it was very impressive. I still think Hangman Page has the best one. I've seen other wrestlers use it, but his paws looked pretty good. It looked really good.
I'll have to go back and watch the match and see how he landed on his, feet when he
Mhm.
did that because he had to have landed wrong.
Yeah, I haven't seen any, I haven't seen any confirmation, but that's what's been going around on social media is that that's when he hurt his knee. I mean, and it's possible because all that adrenaline could have pushed him through the match. But
Yeah.
no, it was an excellent match. I mean, it was a good show. There was a couple of missteps, but overall it was a better show than I expected it to be, and the main event was excellent.
One thing we forgot to mention was in between the women's title match and the last match was there was a promo from Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I'm already tired of these.
Thank you. I was going to say, I was like,
I'm a big Bray Wyatt fan, but I need
yep,
him
same
to
here.
do something. It's like, okay, you've talked this, and then you've got the weird uncle thing happening over here every time you cut a promo, and it's like, just get to it. I just want to know I want to know what's happening here. Just can you get to it and just
Yes, I want to see a Sister Abigail. I want to see a Mandible Claw. I want to see,
yeah,
you know, some his the crab walk.
yeah,
I want to see Bray Wyatt get in the ring and actually wrestle somebody.
exactly.
Um, okay, talk about getting old already. Like I said with Logan Paul, if he were to come, yeah, the newness will wear off. We've seen 4 promos now.
Yeah, it's the newness is starting to wear off. It's like I need to see where this is going.
Yeah, so like, who's Uncle Howdy? I don't care.
Yeah, it's like
you know,
I already don't care. So it's
yeah,
like just get to it, please.
yeah. His uncle is Barry Windham or Kendall Windham. Of course, Kendall
Yeah,
Windham probably won't come in, but Barry Windham,
yeah,
you know, he could. He that's his uncle. Bring him in
yeah,
there. Don't tell me. Oh, people say, well, what? Maybe it's Bo Dallas. No, Bo Dallas is his brother. That's weird.
yeah,
When your brother's your uncle,
yeah.
we're not even going to talk about
No,
that's
no.
nah. But yeah, get Bray in the ring
Mm-hmm.
because he's so popular with people. I mean, we're already it's 4 weeks into it, and we're already like, are you going to wrestle anytime soon? Instead of coming out and you're talking about your feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, granted, we all talk about our feelings. We don't want to talk about our feelings, but we don't do it in the ring. We don't do it on here. We talk outside of this.
Exactly.
So Bray, get to wrestling. That's what we want to see you wrestle. I want to see
Hmm.
him. I want to see him put on the Cape Fear. I want to go back to the original Bray Wyatt, but
Yeah.
and
Same.
go back to Live in Fear with the song.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm not a fan of the new one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad song, but it's definitely not as good as Live in Fear.
Nope.
And I will say though, it was kind of cool seeing all the Saudis do the Fireflies.
Yeah. That was
So
cool.
yep. So, but yeah, like I said, I mean, I think WWE. I mean, when it comes to their pay-per-views, their premium live events, I mean, they've actually been
Yeah.
net positive for the last however many it's been.
Yeah.
Um, so hopefully Survivor Series will kind of continue that.
Hopefully.
You know, supposed to be War Games. I have not
Hmm.
seen any matchups set in stone yet. Of course,
Yeah, they haven't had anything yet. They've got to get to work though. They've only got 3 weeks.
yeah, 3 weeks. I mean, now granted, there for a little bit. Remember, they were doing a pay-per-view every month. They were doing like two pay-per-views every month, and so
Hmm.
but they were hot shot and everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Triple H, they probably already have some matches set in mind.
Yeah. Probably.
Um, Seth Rollins is apparently a face now. I don't like that. I like heel Seth Rollins.
Yeah. I do too.
Um, I can't think of any of the other ones.
I can't either. We'll see what happens on Raw tonight and SmackDown on Friday.
Yep. But Thursday, like I said, we might just have an interview. Our friend Noah Gabriel
Hmm.
supposed to be coming back. Hopefully he may have the Prodigy Kobe Kane with him. In fact, as soon as we get off here, I will send both of them messages to just kind of a
Okay.
reminder. Hey, just want to know we're still good. So
Right.
also trying to set up something else on another day, another interview.
Hmm.
I have not gotten a response yet.
Okay.
But then again, it also took the person last message I sent. It took a while for that
Hmm.
one because I was even thinking, oh, okay, I'm being ignored. And I said, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this one I need a response before the day of. So,
Right. Yeah.
uh, that'd be nice. But I'm not going to sit there and get mad at the person because I mean they're busy. They also have a life. So,
Yep.
um, but I cannot think of any other news.
I think that's it.
Yeah, because I mean, now I'm going to have to like I guess turn on Raw to see what's going on. But all right, my friend.
All
Until
right.
Thursday, I will talk at you. So good night and God bless.
All right. God bless.